Hey Gareth, great to have you join us for our global CDO Hub event this month. Great conversation all around value, specifically thinking about how we can help our teams to talk more in terms of value and find those opportunities within the business to build strategic partnerships. So I thought it was a great conversation. Would love to hear from you really on what you thought the sort of key focus was.
Yeah, perfect. Really enjoyed the session yesterday. Thanks for the invitation. Good to sort of get amongst another set of leaders. I'm Gareth Powell, Group Data Officer at Irwin Mitchell. We are one of the largest full service law firms in the UK. We have services across legal as well as wealth management. So really good opportunity to help business become more data driven. So I think really, the thesis yesterday for me was all around how we empower data teams to talk about value and build those critical business partnerships. Some of the things we explored were the communication barriers that sometimes exist and how that can really hinder the value creation side of things. And I think that there was definitely a bit of a theme about how that's becoming more of a challenge as, some organizations are continuing to be more remote. It's a different world we live in now. And I think there was a huge focus in the conversation as well about how this has shifted. 20 years ago, things were very different to where they are today. And it's definitely evolved in a really positive manner. So really, I think some of the core focuses that we honed in on yesterday, there was a discussion certainly around structure, the importance of having the right operating model so that you can make those partnerships thrive. We talked a little bit about hub and spoke and having those core teams that can therefore sort of focus on the bigger opportunities. Meanwhile, having analytical teams that have the tentacles out into the business units to really closely collaborate and understand those business areas. There was definitely a theme around almost acting as that consultant and the storytelling nature, both critical skills, and translation as a word came up quite heavily as well. So understanding what those business requirements are, how we transform those into analytical solutions, as well as facilitating workshops, those sorts of things with business subject matter experts is really the key to success. We also talked about physical objectives and KPIs for data departments. That can even manifest itself being a physical pound note target. Everyone's got to justify their existence. It's no different for data. So really being able to demonstrate value creation is important, and getting that cadence through data teams is key as well. But equally, as is co-owning that value creation with the business. So whatever the solution that you're creating is something that can be championed both ways. We also had a bit of a discussion around business literacy, which I've got a real passion about. I think yes, data literacy is really key. You've got to educate the business on the role that data can play and what analytics can mean, what's the art of the possible. But we've got to emphasize to data teams the importance and the criticality of understanding the business itself. How does the organization make its money? How does it lose its money? How does it physically operate with the products, the services that it launches? They're really important, and those analytical business partnerships can start to bridge the gap somewhat. I think there was definitely a theme as well around almost that, the balance. There's a delicate balance with data teams almost having that, carefully planned innovation and curiosity. You've got to have analysts that are taking a proactive approach in how they identify trends and shifts in customer behavior, predicting future opportunities. But it's about striking the right balance between providing a service in parallel with proactive insight.
And was the one thing that there's a lot there. Was the one thing that stood out from the conversation as a one sort of thing that really kind of stood out to you in all of those areas?
I think what was sort of fascinating was there was discussion around almost the scale of the business can play a big role in how this works, how successful it is. Smaller organizations are able to act more nimbly, and there is also that variation dependent on how long data has been a core capability in the business. If you're coming into something greenfield, it's far easier to get that traction. So we heard challenges from startups all the way to large multinationals. I think one of the other kind of key things I would draw out from yesterday is that sort of validation process. Data teams can be very, very busy just answering questions day to day. You could keep a data team busy all the time. So therefore, it requires that real validation about what's being asked and testing the thinking with the business. But also that prioritization is key. Or I'd almost use the word brutal. It's got to be, it's got to be really sort of clear where the value lens is going to be taken on each of those asks. And I think, there was a piece around getting the internal customer thinking like that as well, and having those visible backlogs is really helpful to start to sort of engender the right conversation through organisation and senior leadership teams.
Fantastic. Thanks, Gareth. I think some brilliant takeaways there. A lot that people can then go away with now and have a think about how that might work within their organisation and where they are on that journey. Really, really appreciate you joining us yesterday. It was a great conversation. We certainly enjoyed it. For everyone who's around next month, we've got our next Global CDO Hub event happening on the 11th of October around AI for data leadership. Thanks again, Gareth, and look forward to seeing you soon.
No worries. Thanks for the invitation again.